All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're exploring a seriously high-stakes, multi-domain tactical chess match, and it's playing out right now in one of the absolute most volatile waterways on Earth. Let's get into it.
Picture this. You've got pitch-black waters, invisible threats lurking everywhere, all inside a massive global shipping bottleneck that essentially controls a huge chunk of the world's energy supply. So the question is, how exactly does a modern military disarm this absolute nightmare of a scenario before a single shot is even fired?
To figure this out, we need a solid battle plan for our explainer today. We're going to break this incredibly complex response down into 6 critical tactical phases: the choke point threat, blinding the enemy radar, executing the precision strike, establishing the picket line, clearing the hidden killers, and finally, defeating the mosquito swarm.
Phase 1, the choke point threat. First things first, we really have to understand the claustrophobic geography that forces these specialized tactics to begin with.
The Strait of Hormuz is incredibly narrow. We're talking just 21 miles wide at its absolute tightest point. This extremely constrained geography means that those massive supertankers, they're confined to strict 2-mile-wide inbound and outbound lanes. You've got a little buffer zone in the middle, but if a threat suddenly emerges, these gigantic cargo ships literally have zero room to maneuver. They are basically stuck.
And complicating matters is this triad of island fortresses Iran uses to monitor and threaten those narrow lanes. It's a textbook setup for a potential blockade. You've got L'Arak, which acts as the close-quarters enforcer staging fast boats right over the shipping lanes. Then there's Kehem, essentially a heavy arsenal hiding this labyrinth of bunkers for P-15 anti-ship missiles. And finally, Abu Musa, the forward outpost pushing early warning radar way out, widening that entire anti-access threat zone.
Which brings us to Phase 2, blinding the enemy radar.
Now, if intelligence spots a covert move to, say, drop mines under the cover of darkness, you might think the very first step is to drop traditional bombs. Actually, scratch that. It's not. Before a single kinetic weapon is dropped, a massive wall of invisible, non-kinetic electronic warfare is unleashed. This is all about using the electromagnetic spectrum to completely deny the enemy's use of radar, communications, and targeted weapons to protect the strike force. So the crucial player pushing ahead here is the EA-18G Growler, acting as the blinder. Using these incredibly powerful ALQ-99 tactical jamming pods, the aircraft floods enemy missile sites with high-powered electromagnetic noise. It's literally breaking their radar lock in milliseconds. It's absolutely wild how fast this happens.
Okay, let's move right into Phase 3, executing the precision strike. Let's see how this builds into an explosive reaction from the U.S. Air Force. When we slow down the absolute chaos of this scenario, it reveals a perfectly synchronized, multi-layered strike package. Let's look at the timeline. At T-2 seconds, an enemy's surface-to-air missile battery achieves a radar lock on U.S. jets. Bad news, right? Well, just 1 second later at T-1, the Growler breaks that lock with electromagnetic noise. Then, boom, at T0, land-based F-15E Strike Eagles drop precision GBU-38 JDAMs, neutralizing the mine-laying boats. And just 5 seconds after that, trailing F-15s execute a pop-up strike, dropping stealthy glide bombs to completely level the active radar site. It is just breathtaking precision.
Following that immediate strike, we enter Phase 4, establishing the picket line.
You've got to establish a frontline blockade, but you obviously cannot risk placing massive, highly vulnerable aircraft carriers inside that 21-mile choke point. So what do? You create a layered defense. On the surface, you establish this sort of invisible dome using a wolf pack of 4 to 6 Arleigh Burke destroyers. They're patrolling in layered boxes, ready to track and intercept targets with SM-2 or SM-6 missiles. But beneath the waves, that's where the Deep Guardian takes over. You have Virginia-class attack submarines silently patrolling at 400 feet, armed with Mark 48 torpedoes to neutralize enemy subs before they even surface. It ensures absolutely nothing flies, sails, or launches without being instantly targeted.
But what about the threats you can't easily see? That takes us to Phase 5, clearing the hidden killers.
You know, dealing with deadly contact and influence mines already scattered in the water isn't done with your standard ships anymore. The Independence-class littoral combat ship actually acts as a robotic mothership, staying safely outside the minefield while running a very strict 4-step calculated protocol. First, an unmanned surface vehicle drags sonar across the seafloor to detect anomalies. Second, Seahawk helicopters scan from about 100 feet up to localize them. Third, a knifefish underwater drone dives deep to classify the buried threats. And finally, an unmanned sweeping system is dragged through the water. It actually mimics the acoustics of a warship to trick the mines into detonating harmlessly. It is a brilliant decoy system.
And finally, Phase 6. This addresses perhaps the most chaotic piece of this entire puzzle, defeating the mosquito swarm. This swarm strategy is absolutely designed to just completely overwhelm defenses, blind the ship's crew, and disable the engine room. I mean, imagine this. 10 to 20 radar-evading speedboats coming at you simultaneously from 360 degrees, traveling at blistering speeds of 50 to 70 knots. They're using heavy machine guns and shoulder-fired missiles aimed right at the bridge. They integrate unmanned suicide vessels packed with explosives to strike the waterline, and they're rapidly dropping tethered naval mines right in your direct path. It is a terrifying multi-axis nightmare.
Because cargo ships and even destroyers really cannot handle swarms of this massive scale all by themselves, they have to rely on brutal, overwhelming firepower from the air. Up at medium altitude, you've got the A-10 Thunderbolt, the Warthog, bringing in precision Maverick missiles and its legendary 30mm Avenger cannon. Meanwhile, right down at sea level, you have AH-64E Apache Guardian helicopters skimming the water, ripple-firing Hellfire missiles and 70mm rockets to hunt down those fast attack boats.
But ultimately, defense is only half the battle, right? You can swat mosquitoes all day long, but eventually you have to go after the nest. To permanently neutralize those underground cruise missiles, U.S. forces rely on offense. They track the mobile launchers and use massive bunker-busting munitions, like the GBU-72. This is a 5,000-pound precision-guided bomb that is literally capable of smashing through 20 feet of solid reinforced concrete. It stops the threat right at the source.
And that brings us to the ultimate question of this explainer. As robotic minesweepers and unmanned suicide vessels clash in these narrow, highly contested waters of the Strait of Hormuz, it really leaves us with a critical thought to ponder. With drone warfare evolving at this absolute breakneck speed, how long can our vital global shipping lanes survive this rapid escalation of autonomous, asymmetric warfare? The fragility of the global supply chains that keep our world running has truly never been more apparent.